Hey, good afternoon, Aggie Land, and we welcome you back for another episode in the TexAgs studio. It is the 10th episode of Looch Bock. I'm Gabe Bock, joined each week by the source, the one, the only. Thank God, there's only one of them, Billy Liucci. We're live every Wednesday at noon, texags.com/live, the TexAgs YouTube channel, and on the podcast platform of your choice. Search Looch Bock and subscribe to the podcast. Looch Bock, presented by Bock Realty Group, luxury, new construction, first-time home buying, investment, real estate, and more. Go to our website. Check out all of our listings and reach out. Let's have a conversation. BockRealtyGroup.com. Bock Realty Group, turning our experience into your advantage. The throat is sore, not because of some sort of cold or crud or anything like that. The throat is sore because I went on a golf trip, and the house we rented had a theater room, and 11 Aggies were going crazy. Texas A&M football, are you kidding me? The Aggies, our Aggies, this team right here in College Station, 8-0 for the first time since '92, vanquishing demons left and right, Liucci, and doing so in resounding fashion on Saturday in Death Valley, outscoring LSU 35-7 in the second half and pummeling the Tigers on their home field, winning in Baton Rouge for the first time in 31 years, emptying out and then taking over the stadium and ultimately stomping on that program to the point where now, as we sit here midway through the week, Brian Kelly, gone, fired. LSU and Scott Woodward, who's probably also on the hot seat, looking for a new coach. How about that this weekend, Billy? That was something else.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that coaching search in Baton Rouge would be really interesting, just from our connection here at A&M, with Scott Woodward, and seeing how that goes, who makes that hot, those type things. But
the governor's overstepping.
Yeah, he's trying, isn't he? But with that said, this is about Texas A&M.
Amen.
And Brian Kelly is just roadkill at this point. So is Napier. Pittman wasn't. I guess you could say Petrino was. You kind of took him out or started that process, taking him out of the equation.
He had one shot, didn't he?
There in Fayetteville. So I don't know. I suppose they could go on a winning streak and go win in Austin. That might make it happen. But
I hope.
The Aggies are. I think they went and showed so much this weekend, so much just in that one game, Gabe, and then so much when you add that game to their body of work, their entire body of work, their body of work on the road, their body of work in the SEC, because they'd beaten only the SEC bottom feeders so far. Now we know that Florida gave Miami all they wanted, that Florida beat the brakes off of Texas, although the Texas fans will tell you Texas, it was a one-score game. They beat that ass is what they did. So we know that Florida's a very talented, and I think they'll still, even with an interim coach, they're going to run some scare. You look at their schedule, they're going to have a chance to upset somebody.
I agree. I think they will.
And we know that Mississippi State is vastly improved. So you look at Mississippi State, they beat Arizona State. It took a miracle for them to somehow figure out how to lose to Texas. We'll talk about that later.
Unreal.
They lost to Tennessee in overtime, so this is different. They lost to Florida on a last minute interception, and then we know about LSU. You also know Auburn's a pretty solid team. You look at Auburn versus Georgia. You look at Auburn in overtime versus Missouri, and then you watch versus Oklahoma, where they were robbed of that one.
Yep.
So I think even in that prior SEC schedule, if you were an outsider that was taking either a more in-depth look at what A&M was doing or an honest look without going, bottom, and you just took an honest look at what the Aggies were doing, you'd be impressed. But this was, I said it last week to you, this was the eyeballs of the country were going to be on you for really the first time. Maybe that Florida game, a lot of people were watching, but really the first time since Florida was at night, so you had a good audience, but the eyes of the nation were on you for the first time since Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Because it's Death Valley.
Well, the rest of the schedule wasn't that good except the SEC, and they had already played by then.
It was a ranked LSU team on the road in Death Valley at night. Everyone wanted to see if LSU, a lot of people thought this was upset. It was all the ingredients of an upset. So the country tunes in to see if the number 3 team falls and see if it's a bit of a shake-up Saturday. We do it all the time. We're just never in the number 3 spot to do it, but we're always watching those upset specials. And
100%.
And so just like they did against Notre Dame, A&M went on the road and lit up an opposing defense. It was also one of the couple of best defenses A&M has faced to this point in the season. They hang 49 on them. It was a raucous Death Valley environment where the Aggies haven't won in forever. They emptied out the stadium by the end of the third quarter. It was a Marcel Reed showcase game opportunity. We talked about this. I said if they beat LSU and he puts up solid numbers, he's going to vault himself right into the serious Heisman conversation. Well,
exactly what he did.
His numbers were really good. The 2 picks take him away from being like elite, but his numbers were pretty incredible when you go 202 yards passing on 12 completions, then 108 rushing, so 300 total yards, 4 touchdowns. His performance was so good that nobody cares about the 2 picks, like nationally.
I don't hear anybody talking.
They're looking at it, and the reason why is he started off with a sensational run on the first drive of the game, just that had the whole country, probably everyone watching, go, damn, this dude just ran right through the defense for 50 yards.
On the heels of what happened last year against them.
Yeah, well, that's something we'll talk about in a second. So,
yeah.
But to do that at the beginning of the game and just capture the national audience attention and all the media people watching, and then you look at games in and they're emptying out that stadium, and Marcel's just clowning. The whole Aggie offense is just clowning that LSU defense. And so as the quarterback to lead your team to 49 points in Death Valley, looked the way he looked and put up the numbers he did, too, with 4 touchdowns and 100 yards rushing, 300 total. He did exactly what he said, or what I said. He threw himself into he's easily a top 5 Heisman candidate now. Some people that have nothing to do with A&M have him at 1 or 2 or top 3. He's right in the mix, as he should be. And more importantly, your football team went and beat a ranked team on the road on the strength of a 35-0 run. A 35-0 run in Death Valley at night against an LSU team and head coach that had everything to play for.
And a legit defense.
Future teams might face a laying down LSU team. That was on the road this year, Gabe. 41, 42, and 49 points. They're averaging 45 a game on the road this season. You go back to last year in the Auburn game, they put up 41. That's 4 games in a row. That's a SEC tied for the longest streak ever.
Exactly. Chance to break it at Mizzou. Yep.
If you throw in the USC game and you look at Marcel's numbers in his last 5 games away from Kyle Field, it's actually incredible. And if we're just talking about this year, and you look at his 3 away from home, it's remarkable what he's doing. It's like 350 a game of total offense, and I think it's 10 touchdowns, 3 turnovers away from Kyle Field. And more
away from Kyle, he's the Heisman winner.
Yeah, and more importantly, 3 victories.
Yeah,
and 2 of those where your offense had to match score for score to win. So, and oh, by the way, again, you talk about Heisman moments. There's that run against LSU. There's hanging half 100 in Baton Rouge, and then there's the touchdown pass to Burkature,
who, by the way, looks like an NFL player.
Yeah, in South Bend.
Holy smokes! Yeah.
So Marcel, so you've got a team now that's got road wins in South Bend, in Baton Rouge on their resume. They're undefeated at 8-0. They will be favored in every game the rest of the way. I don't know what the damn ESPN, FPI, whoever's doing that, you should stop. Like, break your computer, smash it like they do the copy machine or the printer in Office Space. Set it to some music, smash your stupid computer, and start over.
And just go ahead and burn the office while you're there.
Yeah, that thing sucks. So ESPN, get out of the business here. You know, the FPI or
garbage in, garbage
they
out.
they got to get rid of that shit and start over. It's terrible, but
it's horrible, man.
Like, it's a laughing stock that they put out every week. It's like when my boy Brandon Walker at Barstool put out a list, and he'll throw in like Blake Shapen as the number 3 quarterback in the SEC, or he'll throw in Mississippi State as as in the bottom of his top 10 when he's doing it for shtick. It's like this is like for shtick what they're doing.
But they're being serious.
But the reality is A&M will be favored in their remaining games. And they've got the best O-line in the SEC, if not the country. And the numbers and just watching the games back this up.
Oh, and then starts and experience and togetherness.
Whatever you want to do.
Any metric. They might
rushing
be the best
yards.
Offensive line in the nation. Yeah.
What they do rushing this week, it was like
208, right?
2-something to 60.
Yeah.
I did a stat of what A&M's doing running the football. They are just
224, sorry.
pummeling teams.
Yeah.
I think it was 224 to 60 this week. Like
Yeah,
the
it was.
rush differential this year is remarkable. I want to go into A&M LSU in a minute, but I want to finish this statement. Heisman contender at quarterback. We're 8 games in, by the way. Heisman contender at quarterback. Best O-line in the SEC, if not the country. Best 1-2 punch at receiver in the SEC, if not the country. I mean, Bama would argue with Bernard and Ryan Williams, but I think these two have been more consistently productive.
Williams has been hit and miss week to week.
And he drops a ton of passes.
Yeah, he does.
Like, I'm going –
He's got that plushy stuffed animal. Come on. I want our two guys.
Yeah, our guys aren't painting their nails.
Give me our guys.
But legitimately, I think they're the best 1-2 punch in the country. And again, these are things that people outside of TexAgs will tell you. So it rings a little different when you're saying stuff that people have to sit around, whether they're covering the SEC or college football, and go like this. Huh? So the SEC's leading sacker, arguably the best pass rusher in the country at the Power 4 level.
Wouldn't I tell you he's better than Bain? Even in terms of
Bain's really good.
Pressure the quarterback, not how they look in their uniform, which he doesn't take a back.
Yeah, I was about to say.
He looks unbelievable.
Look, so 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
You might be able to find a 1-2 punch at receiver that I'd go, oh, okay. 1A, 1B. O-line, fine. 1A, 1. We're saying 1O the best. Heisman contending quarterback. And they lead the country in sacks. They lead the nation in sacks. You lost a first round and 2 second round picks on your D-line. You lead the country in sacks through 8.
Hey, look, should we just give a little bit of props to TJE and Spencer?
Yeah.
They're doing there. This is like a Broyles Award stuff, and you could give that to Wiggins, and you could give that to Klein. There's a lot of ways you can go with it.
Well, 2 things. I think you've got a head coach that's doing as good or better a job as anyone in college. It's probably him and Signetti right now. Like just
yeah.
Now
Clark
we could go,
Lee, but yeah,
Clark Lee.
Yeah,
he's Clark.
There's 3 of them.
I'm not going to complain if Clark Lee wins anything, especially if they finish this out. But those, you have top 3 performing head coach without question. You have I think a top 3. Like you mentioned Broyles Award, right? You just stop it with Colin Klein. Like he has got to be like if the season ended today, he's what do they do? 3 finalists in that or 4? He's a finalist. It's without question what he's done with this offense in year 2. And Gabe, it's something I talked about, and people rolled their eyes. Aggies rolled their eyes. The Twitter trolls that live in this like community, they have to be like, so anything positive you say has to get shouted down during the off season. And by the way, they're all on board now, celebrating along with everyone else, enjoying Baton Rouge, enjoying it, but they get to spend the whole off season shitting on everybody that had any kind of positivity about this program. So if you're listening, I'm talking to you. If you're not one of those people, you're not one of those people, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
But you guys enjoy it. But remember what your dumbasses said all offseason when people would say things like Colin Klein and Marcel Reed could and should and probably will take a big jump in year 2. There was a million reasons why, plus intel that you don't have to say that these guys were getting better. Same with Des Ricks. Same thing with this defensive line, that it wasn't going to fall off a cliff. Same thing with this offensive line, that it was going to take a big jump. There are a million things that have happened that it wasn't a stretch to say were going to happen. I thought that would result in like a 9-3 football team because of this schedule. They're going to pass that, and they might soar past that Because now what they have that I don't think they had coming into the season, Gabe, is a boatload of confidence.
Confidence, momentum, like 2012. And we got that momentum. There wasn't any stopping us. And
you know what?
It's a healthy team so far, knock on wood. I mean,
Yeah.
by and large.
And look, the injury that was so crushing was losing Le'Veon Moss for a second year in a row. The difference was the depth you had. And you're seeing it, whether it's Reuben Owens, Shamarian Morrow, who, by the way, all they talked about was your boy at LSU, the freshman. What's his name? Freshman running back.
Yeah, Barry.
Yeah, Harlem
Man,
Barry.
he's unbelievable.
Really good. But guess what?
Yeah.
Who quietly stole the show there as the game went
agree.
on? Number 23 in Maroon.
You didn't
and white.
have Moss. Owens had 8 carries, and you just ran all day on them and leaned on them. And when you needed it
Owens
most down, not just like late in the game, this is down after halftime. 8 rushes and 9 plays.
Yeah.
Collins said, we're not passing this drive at all. We're just going to run it right down your freaking throat.
That was
exactly
impressive.
what happened.
That was impressive.
That was the move of the game for me.
And then you had the punt return by another guy that
Yeah.
is as good as anybody in college football. He sat in this chair yesterday. I interviewed him. Really impressive young man. And I'm telling you, I watch him. He reminds me of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, my God.
And I'm not sure Craver's game doesn't remind me a little of CD. He's not as big, but just the speed, the way he snatches that football out of the air, what he does after the catch, short, long, intermediate, he can get you any which way, running the football. But KC, that punt return, it just broke LSU's back. And I love watching Texas A&M beat LSU. Because, it's a credit to – see, people in Baton Rouge, I think the people I know get this. There's a respect of what LSU football has done over the last 30 years. I mean, I say 30, it's not even that long. But Nick Saban and then Miles and Ed Oates, 3 national titles. I always say that 2019 team is the best I've ever seen. And that includes all those Bama national champs that we watch at field level year in and year out. I've probably seen, what have I seen since 2012? 3 of them, maybe 4. Probably 3. That includes a Clemson national title team that I saw firsthand. That includes Bob Stoops' national title team and all those great OU teams he had.
What about
that includes 2000. Well, I didn't watch them. That includes 2005 Texas and Vince Young. I mean, I've seen. I saw late end dynasty Nebraska. Did they win it? I think they won it in '97.
Tied.
They split it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I've seen like in person playing against the Aggies, a lot of national champions. That team was the best. So like, there's a respect level for LSU there, but there's also a lack of respect from LSU to A&M. That their fan base, I think the people, not the people associated with LSU. I've always had terrific experiences, but just in general, and even some of my friends in the fan base, there's a lack of like, they look down on A&M, and I get it, 3 national titles.
But LSU analysts talk down about A&M.
Yeah, but they think it's their birthright to beat A&M, which is weird because a lot of them were alive when A&M, where LSU had to end the series because of all the ass kickings Jackie and RC were putting on them. So, but with that said, there's a reality here, and that is that LSU has lost 3 games or more 13 of 14 years since A&M joined the SEC. At least 3 losses every year, 13 of the 14.
That's wild, dude.
And it was when we got in this league, Gabe, you and I sat here and Kevin Sumlin said, we got to get where they're at physically, mentality. So when I look, and it's now 3 out of 4 over LSU, you've won what? Is it 5 out of 9? 5 and 4 in the last 9. Remember, you were 0-6, and counting that 2010 Cotton Bowl, you were 0-7.
2 in a row.
2 in a row. You finally broke through. I always said that the first thing was make it a home-and-home series. We did that years ago when Jimbo got here. Now it's breakthrough on the road. Now you've won 3 out of 4. You're ahead in the last 9 years. At worst, you're going to go 500 over a decade against these guys. And you might make it 4 or 5 with the way Elko's got this rolling, and they're going to be in year 1 now of a new coach. You went 3-1 against Kelly. It's nice to get a coach fired versus the other way around.
100%.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
felt
nice.
so good.
It's nice to be the team that when the Brian Kelly era is done, which it is, LSU fans can go back and go, you know, it was a big part of him getting fired was he couldn't beat A&M. He went down there as a top 5 team and got his ass kicked by Jimbo.
That's the crux. That's right.
Yeah, he came into Kyle Field, got beat down, and that second half is so memorable. And that's one of the worst home losses LSU's had in these last 25 years. Now, ironically enough, I was at the last one a year ago. Alabama did the same thing.
Sure did.
I looked up the other day. I saw a clip from that game where Kelly was bitching because DeBoer and them were blitzing at the end. They were up 42-7 last year. So I was part of that group that left early because we wanted to fly back.
Marcel looked like Milroe last week. He did.
And another Brian Kelly problem is those mobile quarterbacks ruined him and the great Blake Baker. The great Blake Baker and this $20 million defense looked, unless Whit Weeks is some kind of combination of Mike Singletary and Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher all wrapped into one, that they humiliated that $20 million defense with, and I know he had a pick, but all I hear about is Halsey and Mansour Delane and this tremendous defense that, by the way, I don't think is that good. And I don't want to take anything away from A&M because they hung 49 on them. But I thought that's an overrated looking defense that got by playing a bunch of crap offenses.
I love that we fired a coach and didn't let him off the hook. And I love that happened against LSU because we let Miles off the hook and because we let Edo get that job.
You let him get the job here. Yeah, with,
exactly right.
Running back.
Geis.
Yeah, Darius Geis.
What did Geis?
Yep. No Fournette. Geis runs for 300.
Exactly. I mean, and this was a different story the other day. Mm-hmm. And I listened to the entire Luchador on the way back from Dallas. And you said something that was pretty striking. It's just kind of the statement we're making right now is, and I think you had to pause before you said it because I think it might be the first time everyone's saying it, but this team's good enough to win the national championship. And it's probably the first time in your career that you've been able to say this as the calendar rolls into November.
Yeah, Johnny and I were
special, rare territory here. As good as 12 was, we already had 2 losses. To your point,
that's what Johnny and I were discussing or talking about, and it, it was over by the time you beat Bama because there was no playoff. In fairness,
2-team playoff. Yeah,
if there was a 4-team playoff, and A&M might have finished like outside of that year still, which would have been BS. But a 12-team playoff, Johnny and Mike and Swopey and everybody, Jake, Luke, they're at least rematching Bama in the title game. Or whatever their run is, it may or may not have ended with a rematch against Bama. At worst. That nobody else was beating them. And they might have beat Bama again. Yeah. So
you're factoring in the landscape of college football when you make that statement.
We have never sat here going into November.
Uncharted.
And where Texas A&M has a legitimate shot at a national title, and they do. And again, there's a playoff, so you could lose to a lesser team, or you could run into the wrong opponent. And there are some teams that could be problematic for A&M with some of these offenses out there, and the way A&M has let up points. That's why I thought the second half of defense for the Aggies was massive. You know what's interesting, Gabe? This offense went on a 6-quarter stretch. A lot of people forget now with how they're playing. They scored 1 touchdown in 6 quarters against Auburn and Mississippi State. Then that second half against Mississippi State, they outscored them. They scored 28. It was like a 28-0 run. They lit up Florida. They lit up Arkansas. They now lit up LSU. But they went through a 6-quarter stretch. This defense went through a 6-quarter stretch when you factor in Arkansas and LSU. Now, they didn't look nearly as bad on defense against LSU. That was just a ton of ridiculous mistakes there that led to what happened.
Should have been 21-10 at half.
But LSU was running the ball successfully. They hit a deep ball. They read a couple of red zone touchdowns. So it wasn't a good first half of defense. It wasn't like Arkansas, but it was 6 quarters of you'd go, okay, that ain't optimal. And they were dominant in that second half. They were dominant. Nussmeier couldn't get up. 7 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. Choked off that running. Now, they didn't really try the running game, which was, I think, coaching malpractice again. But it's LSU fans are saying that, but I'm like, man, it's hard to do when the other offense is scoring every time and pushing the lead out. It's hard to say, hey, let's line up and run it here when you almost know, like, man, we better start generating some big plays. We're not going to.
A team not built for a shootout felt like they had to enter one. But the difference is.
Your O-line sucks.
Exactly.
You kind of know, like, you're kind of like, we got.
It's a battle in the trenches.
Yeah. And A&M's won that battle almost on both sides almost every week, every game.
We hadn't mentioned it yet. What are we, 30 minutes in? And we've talked around it, and I'm probably sure this is regurgitation because this is a huge storyline. But what you're talking about boils down to, and I this was my main thought going to sleep on Saturday night was, we got freaking Tommy Moffitt and they don't.
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to. The biggest mistake he ever made was letting that cat walk out of Baton Rouge
for so many reasons, Gabe. And this is a problem. Like, I don't. And look, like I consider Jacob Hester and T-Bob really good friends, and two of the best people I know, and I've known them for a long time. And they are as diehard at LSU. I mean, those are two badasses.
Live and die in-state people.
In purple and gold, and grew up in it. And like,
T-Bob's a legacy.
You do not mention Tommy Moffitt, like, unless they mention him in reverential tones.
Yes,
when I say they love that man, and I saw Leonard Fournette tweeting about it, and all these former players, Ryan Clark, anybody that LSU that's voting, I haven't heard Spears say it, but I'm sure he and Booger feel the same. Somehow I've got a lot of really close, long-time friendships between Booger and Spears. Those two guys I mentioned. Got to know Matt Flynn a little bit this summer at SEC Media Days. Another dude, like, Flynn was that close to coming to A&M.
In-state guy, right?
Jimbo's the reason he stayed at LSU, because Fran was going to flip him, bring him over with his buddy Grant Dickey. So interesting story. Anyway, those dudes are like, I saw a clip the other day, and Hester, they said, best thing, say one nice thing about A&M, and Hester mentioned me. Flynn mentioned, he's like, here's a guy at LSU that obviously don't like A&M, and he's like, one nice thing about A&M is Tommy Moffitt. Like, they love him. Guess who loves him now? His current players here at A&M. You heard Marcel say they had a tackling dummy with Moffitt on there. Not Moffitt. Moffitt had it with Brian Kelly's face.
I stinking love that.
They wanted to win that game, and at the end of that game, they probably wanted to pour it on in honor of Tommy Moffitt. Interesting that it's a rainy day in Baton Rouge, because T-Bob always talks about they fired him outside in the rain. It was just if you know anything about Brian Kelly, that is par for the course. That would surprise no one.
No.
I don't know much about, like, I don't think I should ever be hired. I don't want to be. Anyone that knows me knows I don't want to be in some formal capacity, right? You could have me sit there when there's regime changes here, or there are certain things I say this, it's going to sound egotistical, but coaches around the country would back me up on this, because they have asked me questions over the years, whether they're here or when they leave, and other ones about football-related stuff. And one thing I would say, if Brian Kelly was in Baton Rouge, he would have asked me or anybody there that's a former player that knows anything, whoever the hell advised that guy to get rid of Tommy Moffitt, set him on a path for this to happen. And somebody should have raised their hand and said, hey, man, this is why you can't be like Brian Kelly in business or in sports, especially in sports, because it will always catch up to you. You can't be the smartest guy in the room that will not take input from anyone. So when you walk in, and you know who has this in them, and Buzz has that in him.
You better believe it. Buzz pissed me off yesterday anyway.
And you can't walk in there and not take input or feedback from anyone, especially when you're new to a place, Because I promise you, someone there said, man, Tommy Moffitt is an integral part of the success. Even if you have a guy at Notre Dame, you got to at least take a second and go, would it be better for me to keep him during the transition and tell my guy, sit tight, we'll make this move in a year or two. Like, see how it goes if it's not working. But that was a disastrous PR move. And as it turned out, like those LSU players are saying, one team was tougher, one team wasn't.
Yeah.
And when you got Cassius Howell in the guy's face.
Yep. Tommy Moffitt personified.
Crushing, ripping that guy's soul out. And because he kind of took a step towards Cassius, and the other lineman came over who, the former A&M commit who's soft, who isn't any good. The old lineman from Katy, Eccles, he's not any good. He flipped from A&M. Hey, LSU, remember that big list you had of all those guys you flipped from A&M? Relaford, McDominic McKinley. You put Jordan Gilbert on there. You celebrated when Denver Harris went over there. Who were the other ones? Who?
Did you say Perkins?
Well, Harold Perkins the year before that, but there were two linemen. It was Bronny's boy from Beaumont, and it was Eccles. All these guys flipped. None of you are any good. And you all got your asses kicked consistently by Texas A&M. And all those people on social media and the media celebrating that have to sit back today and eat that, as does Brian Kelly. So congratulations on your Twitter victories. They didn't translate on the field. So to me, like I'm sitting here watching that game, Gabe, and you're right. It's about toughness. It's about physicality. We don't talk about Moffitt enough, and this is the type of week you talk about him, because that is the swing between A&M and LSU. That is the swing.
Yep.
And 2 years under Moffitt, and here's what I'll tell you. 2 years under Moffitt, look up these things. Rushing yards compared, tackles for loss, sacks. Just look that up. And oh, by the way, it's a combined score of what? In 6 quarters, since you've inserted Marcel Reed against LSU, I believe the score is 66-13.
In the second halves, 66.
Oh, just in the second halves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's way more.
31-6 and 35.
And what is it in the full games?
Then you add 14.
It's 49. Yeah, so it's 80.
80. We could have scored 60 though.
So it's 80 to 30.
18 plus
80 to 30-ish.
Yeah, 31.
In 6 quarters. You've outscored them by 50.
No,
Marcel
what
Reed.
you're doing versus everybody else. Like South Carolina and Florida combined for 20. Scored 49. They've given up 35 points at home all year. In 4 games, we scored 49 in 1 game.
I did the stat thing too. Yeah, LSU, South Carolina, LSU, Clemson, South Carolina, Florida, Clemson. Vandy scored 31, but A&M with 49. Yeah, Clemson, Florida, South Carolina were all at like 10.
If he takes off on the pick, it's another 7.
Yeah.
If we get 3rd and 19 and don't punch a guy through a ref, we get the ball back, probably score again.
Take 7 away from them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
it was a totally dominant, unbelievable beatdown of Baton Rouge. I mean, any way you slice it.
It's funny, too, that they scored 49 against LSU and 41 against Notre Dame. In both games, you were going, they could have had 60.
Guarantee that.
And I don't say that as a negative. I was talking to McGee yesterday, and I felt like he was saying that as a negative. He was frustrated about the points left on the board. I'm like, sometimes you got to focus to me on the points scored, and I'll take 41 and 49 all day. But he is right.
Upset when they beat Texas 12-6, was he?
Don't tell him that.
He's a hero because of it.
And he'll probably say, but I also did 38 and 3 touchdowns the next time I played him.
Well, okay, that's true.
That was his, 300 and...
We all have narratives.
What did he throw for in that game? 350?
They let it fly.
I think it was 350. And it was
like Canning had his hat backwards.
This is what Stephen McGee could have been doing the whole damn time, guys.
Right.
Like, God, that pissed me off.
Me too.
It was like the game that I was the most mad ever after beating the crap out of Texas. And I was still pissed off.
I know.
You're like, what could have been? But anyway, yeah, they could have let it. We talk about, though, that second half. Throwing a party in Baton Rouge at Tiger Stadium.
You ever see anything like that?
At LSU's expense. If you guys want to feel good and smile, just go watch the video Kay put together on Instagram. I may have to tweet that out today. It's just them. It's like a montage of A&M players dancing and celebrating with Colin Baton Rouge playing. And that, to me, forget about the LSU thing. Like, whether it's Tristan Jernigan doing the Notre Dame, whether it's the guys dancing in that end zone, whether it's Craver, put 200 on them, and all the fun they have after sacks and turnovers and TFLs. And we had Concepcion go through the top 5 celebrations with me yesterday. He couldn't stop at 5. This is a fun team to watch. They have fun. They're led by a quarterback that has fun. They have a head coach that has somehow, and this is what I love about Elko, he's blended discipline and just focus, but yet these guys have a hell of a lot of fun. And it's interesting, you're playing in Baton Rouge, and it's A&M with the playmaking receivers, and it's A&M with the Heisman contending quarterback, and it's A&M with the high-flying, explosive offense, and the guys that are just getting after and crushing the opposing quarterback and ripping your soul out of an opponent and dancing and celebrating all over that field because it reminds you of something.
Them.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this team is 2019 LSU. That team is even if A&M went on and won it, they'd have to win it. So, but that team is another level than almost anything else. But you see the comparison. You see what I'm getting at.
Oh,
it is
absolutely.
A fun team. I'm getting fans of other programs. I'm getting friends of mine that have nothing to do with A&M other than me that just watch college football. I'm getting people that I won't name that you guys would, I think our fans would appreciate that go, man, you're Aggies, man, that are watching these games or, and that's what happens when you beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
When you beat up on LSU, when you beat up on the Florida Gators, no matter where those teams are at.
It opened the eyes of the nation is what it did.
It has.
Where Joey Galloway saying that's QB1 in the country right now.
Yeah.
On a podcast with Marcel.
Yep.
Because of the fact that he didn't transfer after a coach. And he's like, I had to wait my turn. Joey was so impressed by that. He got him with him and Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah, I saw that. It was good.
I mean, no louder voice than Herbie, who knew him since high school, so no bigger natural fan of him anyway. So then, by way of Marcel, becomes kind of a rooting interest in Aggieland.
And there's a couple people that are.
Point.
And look, I don't think nobody needs to vault A&M into the. I don't need to hear people say they're the best team in the country or whatever, but I do need them to acknowledge that their resume is as good as anyone's.
Well, we'll find out next Tuesday, won't we? Because
we'll actually find out.
We may be first.
I think they might be. I think I might bet. I bet they'll end up at like 2. But their resume and Marcel's Heisman resume, those things are real, and they're really undeniable. And I see people keep pointing out that A&M's beaten the teams all packed up at the bottom of the SEC. That's fine. Some of them are there because you beat them. Like LSU, if they beat A&M, they're what? They're 6-3 right now, or whatever they are, and they're going to be a top 15 team. Instead, they're not, and they're out. So Notre Dame's climbed back up. They're going to be probably a 10-2 football team, and you beat them. And so I don't want to hear that. You're going to see what the metrics say, like you said, next Tuesday. I think A&M will be right there, maybe number 2, maybe higher. But again, I don't need that. I just need people to know that this team is for real and they are an SEC and national title contender. The SEC thing is strange. The Aggies, the way you needed like Bama to lose to South Carolina. A&M, unless Florida does something dramatic or A&M might need to go undefeated 12-0 to get to the SEC title game.
It's just a weird year
because of the way the tie breaks work.
Nobody plays anybody, right?
And if Georgia loses to Georgia Tech, it doesn't matter. They're still, because of the SEC tie break, would get in if it's them, Bama, and Georgia. And Bama would have to lose 2 to be out of that conversation at 7-1. Like a 7-1 A&M, 7-1 Bama, Georgia, or if you're just tied with Georgia, like A&M and Ole Miss are in a tough spot there with a loss.
I really want to go to Atlanta.
I do too. No,
but do what you do, and you're making the playoff anyway.
I get it. I want to see them in Atlanta.
That'd be fun.
But they probably have to go literally undefeated to get there, which is wild because last year they could have gotten there. Last year they could have gotten there with 3 losses.
Seriously,
which is crazy that this year they may have to be. Probably do have to be undefeated to get there, but they can do that.
Every 3, I think they're going to.
They can do that, and but I want to go, Gabe. I want them to go, and here's why I say that. You can go and lose and still get your home playoff game at Kyle Field, right? Maybe. You might still be a top 4 seed.
Yeah.
If you go, actually, you probably won't. If you go 12-0 and lose SEC title game, you're probably getting a bye. So you probably don't go to Atlanta and get the home playoff game. So that does change my thinking a little bit. But
because the 5 seed will be ideal, right? You get the G5 team and you play the 4 seed the next week.
Yeah. But
at a neutral site.
I would rather see this team go to Atlanta because 2 things. They've never been.
Yeah.
We're in year 14, buddy. They haven't been. Yeah. I'd love to cover it. I'd love to see the maroon and white invade Atlanta. And look, you want to be SEC stamped and certified.
Win the ship.
Go in there, win an SEC title. Just go in there and take the field against the Georgia Bulldogs or the Alabama Crimson Tide in the Mercedes-Benz Dome the first weekend in December. You're certified at that point.
Yeah.
You're stamped. And go in there and do that and beat one of those teams and win this conference. Like, I think that's as important as anything south of a national title. Playing for it. If you got to the championship game, it's more significant win or lose. But other than that, like making the playoffs and winning a couple games, I think winning an SEC title would be bigger. You're getting into the playoffs.
Well, you do that, you might be the 1 seed. You never know how that thing shakes out if you win the championship.
I think. Yeah, you really might. I mean, they're going off. They're not going off reputation and name when they're picking that. They're going off resume. And yeah, so I mean, my point though is I would love to see this team get there, and they have a real shot to do it.
Yeah.
But like you said, they got a much better shot at making the playoffs because there is room for a mulligan, probably even 2. But I would just be, for the sake of not having to sweat it out at all, I'd say there's, this was a big step towards that because now you're looking at it going, if they can go 2-1 against Missouri without Pribula, South Carolina at home, and Texas,
2 very,
you're
very
a lock for
teams.
the playoff.
Yeah,
you might be a top 4 seed. If you're not, you're a lock to get a home playoff game at Kyle Field. I mean,
that's 2-1. I'd put $1,000 on A&M in all 3 of those games.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, contrary to what the FPI says, but yeah, it's you're right. Like A&M's they're the better football team than all 3, and that doesn't mean there's nothing to worry about with those 3 teams. It doesn't mean that any of the 3 can be close games. Just ask Alabama.
Yeah.
Going to Austin in a rivalry game, what that can mean, and they still have a. I mean, I was arguing with Amanda the other day about it, and she's wrong. I'm saying that's not. They could be on a game. Don't get me wrong, but that's not an elite defense like it was a year ago. You don't give up 38 to Mississippi State and be elite. You don't get carved up for 400-something yards by Kentucky and be elite. You don't get get shredded by Florida and stand out as elite. They're not. They're really good though. It's a really good defense.
Well, we need to take over that stadium like we did at LSU. It's right down the street.
I've been there when they've done that before too.
I agree.
1994.
94, 2010 was really good when we were on that heater.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 2010 with Vaughn and Tannehill and Cyrus.
Vaughn had his only pick of his career that night.
Yep.
Neely broke
right down there by the end zone.
Exactly right.
Cyrus ran wild. Yep.
Here's my thing. Don't buy him yet. The tickets are really expensive, but earmark it. And when Pavia does what I think he's going to do, the last thing these Longhorn fans, they'll never say this, the last thing these Longhorn fans want to do is show up and watch their team get pummeled by Texas A&M.
They're
en route to a playoff bye.
Yeah.
Okay? They're going to be dumping these tickets left and right, and we're going to get them pennies on the dollar.
They're very confident that they're going to beat Vandy and Pavia. They keep saying they love the matchup. They keep saying, I'm sitting here going, you're probably not even going to have Arch Manning, who he hasn't been good this year, but he can at least get hot. He can make plays that shouldn't be there with his ability to kind of extend it. He's got that going for him. But behind that O-line, and I know Caldwell, he has shown that he ain't scared. He's shown me that. He'll cut it loose. But that's it. 4-quarter game behind that O-line. And, I'm sitting here thinking, man, you guys aren't – just because Vandy plays a lot of close games, that's your one hope there. Dudes are good. They're very fundamentally sound. They don't really have weaknesses, and they know how to win. They got the right mentality. I think actually it'll be a hell of a game. I've heard multiple times people I've talked to have talked about how they've played one really good team and got their ass kicked. They didn't get their ass kicked by Bama. If you watch that football game, you can't just look at the score of a football game.
It was very close for 2.
Like A&M Auburn, the Aggies kicked the crap out of Auburn. They won by 6 points.
Yeah.
And they had to get defensive stops to win it. But Vandy and Bama, Bama scored a garbage touchdown at the end when they should have been kneeling it, like a 25-yard run by Jam Miller that busted the spread. It was a bad beat. But if Pavia doesn't throw a pick there or fumble the ball in the red zone, they go up 14-0
early
in T-Town. He threw another bad pick late that gave Bama hope. Bama had to convert,
red zone, wasn't it? Or close to it.
Yeah, close to or in it. Bama had to convert a key third down to Proctor, right? Was it to him?
Sure was.
And if they didn't get that, then Vandy's still hanging in it there midway through the fourth quarter. That kind of gave them the cushion. And they let Bama score because of I forget what happened, but it was something goofy, whether it was a personal foul or a holding. It was something happened that let Bama score in essentially the final seconds of the half. So there was a lot that happened in that game, but the way the game was physically played, Vandy was right there with Alabama every step of the way.
Yeah, maybe the most improved defense in the country.
So if they go down there and win, that season's over.
And we're taking over DKR. I'm telling you.
And in fairness, if Texas wins, they got a 2-week prep time for Georgia, and I don't think they'll go up there to win, but they'll at least have earned the right to think about it because we've been there, done that, right? You if they beat Vandy, you beat 4 teams in a row that, OU turns out to be very overrated at whatever their ranking was when Texas played them. Vandy is I think they're deserving of that ranking. They're a solid football team. So you have one nice win in 4 games, but you haven't played a juggernaut. You're going to play a juggernaut, and we sit back and we're like, okay, Aggies 4 wins in a row. They're confident. They got a bye week. So that would be well within their right to do that. But if they lose Saturday, it's done. And they're not going to beat Georgia, like you said, and they may have their hands full with Bobby P. in Arkansas that offense.
Yeah. All right, a quick run through of buy, sell, rent, BockRealtyGroup.com. Check out our website.
This is why you gave me this paper, isn't it?
Exactly. All right, so who are player or team that you're buying this week, Billy? Because that Vandy conversation for me led right into this.
Who am I buying? I mean, again, if anybody else in college football is doing this right now, they'd probably say Marcel Reed and the Aggies.
You can say Marcel Reed for the Heisman candidacy. I mean, shoot.
Well, we've kind of already talked about that. So we've talked about that. So let's buy something else this week. I'm going to buy who in the SEC. Who am I buying, man? man. It's tough. There's not a lot to buy right now. I'm gonna buy Vandy because
it's the layup.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm buying Vandy
especially
to win
if you
this
think
week.
they're going to beat Texas, then
Yep.
Then you're starting to look at them. What's their record? Are they going to be in Atlanta? I mean, they don't have the easy path after that, but it ain't. They got to go to Tennessee is the primary roadblock, right? Do they play Florida too? But I'm buying Vandy. I'm not buying Pavia as a Heisman unless they win out.
No, it's Auburn, Kentucky, and then at Tennessee.
Oh my God!
And then you're talking about two teams that play in Knoxville for a playoff spot. If Tennessee beats OU this weekend, that's going to be wild.
Probably so. Again, that's just going to be wild. Actually, I take that back, Gabe. You know who I'm buying? I'm buying Ole Miss because I've bought Vandy before.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy Ole Miss. And, I don't think OU's that good, but going on the road and winning that game, that was big. That was a big hurdle for them. Speaking of a team that should go 11-1. You know what you really need? You need – nobody wants to hear this. What A&M needs, they need Texas to beat Vandy and beat Georgia and roll into A&M at 9-2 and have the Aggies at 11-0, and that would help. A&M would have probably clinched an SEC title game berth by then.
That'd be a Texas one-loss team. That's what scares me.
One conference loss.
Loss.
So then they enter into a tiebreak.
Right.
But you have to think you're going to go in there and beat them, is what I'm saying. But
for sure.
But we don't want to have to put up with that, do we?
No, I want to have clinched it going in and just beat the dog.
Yeah, you just want to say, you'd much rather have A&M win out and go win in Austin and not make this an issue. But
sling it around.
You look at a potential playoff field of Ole Miss with one loss, Georgia with one or two, Bama with one, Tennessee or Vandy with 1/2. Whoever if Vandy, and then who else? And then A&M. I mean,
there's 10 teams with 2 losses or fewer right now.
Does the SEC? Can the SEC get 5 this year? It's not easy, but so it'll be. I think somehow it'll work itself out where that doesn't happen. But I'm buying Ole Miss. That was a significant. That was a playoff clinching almost win for them. It probably was.
Yeah, consider their schedule. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm just buying Vandy heading into this matchup.
Yeah.
Pavia obviously is the difference maker, but I think that defense is pretty nasty.
Mm-hmm.
They held the Tigers to 10 points. They knocked Purbuell out of the game. They held Hardy under 100. Texas has concerns of Manning's health. Horns have been struggling. They're pillow fighting the bottom feeders of the SEC, and I think Vandy goes in there, and Texas is ripe for the picking.
Texas fans don't realize it hasn't set into them yet that they are actually they're doing this thing where they've won on the road, and A&M fans did that with Arkansas. If you watch the football game, again, going back to what I said earlier, that A&M, Arkansas, like Elko said, never had the ball with a chance to take the lead. A&M played a chunk of that game up 2 scores. If it weren't for a holding penalty, Marcel Reed scores with 5 minutes left to put them up 17. They might win by 24. At worst, they're going to win by 10. There's no comparison if you watch that, and they have gone to overtime with Kentucky and Mississippi State. And that's a Mississippi State team that A&M played with their food for 30 minutes and beat them 31-9.
That's true.
And that's a Kentucky team that's the worst in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And you won both of them on the last play. And you got outplayed by Mississippi State for 50 minutes, thoroughly outplayed. They are a bad football team right now. They're a bad SEC football team. I'm not saying they can't get better. I have to think Sark's better than what he's doing right now as a coach because his body of work tells me he is, his recent body of work. And I still think they're too good on defense, and there's too much talent on that football team to assume they're not going to get better. They're not good right now. And what they've done the last 2 weeks, you should be way more embarrassed about it than feeling optimistic. Again, there's a third of the season left. It doesn't have to stay that way. But today, as I'm sitting here and we're talking, if you argued with me about that, you're wrong. You're not. I always get accused of maroon colored glasses, and we all do over here.
That's what she'd wear glasses.
That's burnt orange. Yeah, whatever color. That's burnt orange glasses that you're looking through. So, with that said, Gabe.
Yeah, are they your sell or somebody else?
With that said, I'm selling Sark. I'm not.
There you go.
If I'm a Texas fan, I'm disgusted with the product he's putting on the field so far this season. Outside of that game against OU. I'm just like, and they're moving the target and saying that, there was a lot of replace. This is kind of a rebuild. No, you guys were in were in everyone's face with this number 1 ranking. I can go find all the tweets of these fans saying they were going to beat the piss out of Ohio State, and Julian saying and Arch Manning, it's no comparison. You're going to get rocked, and now it's everybody's being mean to Arch in the media. I agree. Because I think they should have never put those expectations on him because he didn't deserve it. He said that himself this summer. But they should be better than they are, and maybe they will be again, but they're not. And I think Sark's done a pretty terrible job. I mean, that coaching job against Florida, you got humiliated and undressed by Billy Napier 2 weeks before he was fired. Jeff Lebby game plan circles around you, and your talent eventually won out barely. He's done a terrible job, and the only person he's been better than is the other guy on my sell list, Chet Venables, burnt vegetables as they call him.
Who said they outplayed Mississippi?
Who said they outplayed Ole Miss? You got beat at home.
We were the better team.
Probably should have been worse.
Meathead, man.
At least Sark has gotten it done 2 years in a row in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Brent Venables has done nothing there, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. We got sold a bill of goods on Mateer, which I said all offseason was the case. He was overrated. Don't give me this shit about him having a broken hand. He's not nearly as good as he was billed, and he's got nothing around him. Brent Venables, sell.
They're going to lose a couple more.
They're not
going to be 8-4 at best.
If they lose Tennessee, they will lose a couple more.
And Mateer won't be the best quarterback on the field that day.
Yeah, and they still might have their hands full with Mizzou.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm
depending on how this quarterback performs. So
totally,
I'm selling both of them. The question is, Pittman's out, Napier's out. Who's next?
Well,
is it Stoops or Freeze? But then there's kind of a thing like, keep an eye on the guy in Norman. I don't think he's out, but I'd keep an eye on him.
Well, I think they have a Brent Venables problem, like Auburn has a Hugh Freeze problem. I'll tell you why. They're kind of stuck with him a little bit because do you want to enter this cycle?
Yeah, I don't. You're probably right.
Everyone's going for Lane. He probably won't leave, and then it's or bust, and then who's the bust candidate?
Well, Lane
for everybody else?
He ain't going to Norman or to Auburn, that's for sure. If he was going to Auburn, he'd have done it last year.
Yeah, he's not going
2 years ago.
If he's either going to Florida or LSU, or he's going to stay home. I think he stays home. And
I don't know.
I
don't think he stays home.
I think there will be some really disappointed fan bases this offseason with some underwhelming hires.
Mm-hmm.
And
they all better
you want to enter that with a higher buyout or tell them, hey, look, it's or bust next year. And then you get out ahead of it if you know it's a bust.
I think a lot of these fan bases should recalibrate and start thinking who's the Mike Elko or Jed Fish out there this year? Who's that?
Yeah.
That's who you want to go try to get.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know Nick's getting nervous, so I'll just say Petrino's already slim chances. I'm selling those because he just lost to Auburn.
Okay.
And his quarterback threw 3 picks, and he let Ashton Daniels of Stanford,
and
he let himself get run on.
I had no idea that's where he's from. Who are you renting?
I mean, I'm renting Tennessee just because the same thing we talked about. I think they have better quarterback. Their defense stinks, but
schedule lays up. You know who I'm renting for fun? Florida. I'm going to rent this.
I think it's close.
I'm going to rent this, and I'm going to say they got to play. They play Georgia, they play Tennessee, and they play Vandy. They could be a little bit of a spoiler. They're going to get. They're going to get one.
I think it's close. Georgia plays a lot of close games.
Yeah, they're going to get one. And now, with that, finally, you know who else I'm renting? I'm renting the Big 12 Conference. It's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun.
It really
like,
is.
there's chaos right now.
Yeah.
You got
Big 12 during the day.
You got
like Pac-12 at dark.
BYU, you got Tech, and now you've got in the mix, you've got U of H and Connor and Willie Fritz. They just knocked off ASU. So you got, and then you got a team that I'm having a lot of fun watching because I think they're good. You got Cincinnati. You have 4 real teams up there, and that doesn't even count, Utah, Arizona State, and TCU, who can make that entertaining. And I think an improved K-State makes that entertaining. So this is going to be, I think, a fun in Iowa State too, right? They're entertaining. That's going to be a fun conference to watch down the stretch if you just like seeing chaos in a league fighting for an automatic berth.
Reed, Wigman, Haynes, and Eli Stowers are like 30-2. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's where you used to hat tip Sherman. I'll hat tip Jimbo on that. That was kind of fun.
Yeah,
I mean, he did find those QBs and they're all having success. So that's cool.
I give Daryl Dickey some credit there, too.
Easton decided not to get long-winded, thankfully, because we're up against it. Easton's corner real quick and a quick prediction on our way out. Is Bill,
what are we predicting?
He puts you on the spot. No,
Easton from
does.
him. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
here we go. Easton.
This is Easton's corner, and we're 8-0. We finally took down the Tigers in Death Valley for the first time since 31 years. I mean, this is a big deal because we were fighting with Alabama. We were only a couple votes off for the third place, for third in the rankings, and that pretty much secured it because they were fighting with South Carolina, and we absolutely demolished LSU. It didn't look like it in the first half, but in the second half, 35 straight points without them scoring, and then they scored a touchdown with Van Buren. I mean, he looked better than Nussmeier. Our running game was good. I liked Marcel's running game. I loved the ABR one-handed catch. That was amazing. I mean, our receivers, our highest receiver was ABR with 47 yards. And then 45 for KC, 42 for Craver, 32 for Theo Milanostra. So the highest was 47. It wasn't a pretty game for the receivers, but 49 points with KC on a 79-yard punt return. You don't need to have the best game at receiver when you have a 79-yard punt return. I'm very convinced that A&M has a great chance to go 12-0. But my question for you, Billy, is what are your thoughts? Do you think that A&M will go 12-0 this season?
There you go.
Easton.
Yes or no? He's putting you on the spot.
I think they are. I jumped from 9-3 to 10-2. I said if they went undefeated in September, meaning beat Notre Dame and Auburn, I was going to jump that to 10-2. I'm not jumping to 11-1. I'm skipping it. Now would feel like the time. My win 2 of these 3 road games, then I'll think 11-1. I'm jumping past that. I do. I think this team is something different, man. They showed it.
Yep.
They've shown it more than once this year, but they certainly showed it on Saturday night in Death Valley, Gabe. That's why we had a lot of fun today talking about this.
Yeah. I had to pinch myself about 500 times when the Rangers did this 2 years ago. And if they can freaking do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm pinching myself a lot, but it's been pretty amazing to watch.
Yep.
All right, episode 10 in the books, Liucci. Appreciate it. Meet us right back here next week, TexAgs.com/live and TexAgs YouTube every Wednesday at high noon for Looch Bock. Aggie's on a bye this week. Sit back and enjoy. Hopefully some chaos happens all around us while we don't play and rest up for Missouri. Gig 'em. Let the good times roll. We'll preview Aggies and Tigers next week.